Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Lee Van Dam here, and we're going to talk about why I play Lee. Another reason why I play Lee, and it's because of that Hitman stance right there. Now, he was given this stance in Tekken Tag 1. That's when he got his first major redesign, when he came back to Tekken Tag 1 from being dead, from Ogre, taking some of his moves, and they wanted to make him a much more different character than Law. So he went more of a poking way, not as aggressive, with Hitman Stance being where he would kind of beckon you to come into the trap, come get the smoke. So today we're going to talk about the stance, and then after that we're going to talk about the moves out of the stance, and then we're going to talk about other moves you can do from the stance, along with just transitions that you'll be using while playing Lee. Lots of common transitions. There's a lot of other info about this that you can find lots of places, but I wanted to make this pretty concise, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So as you can see, with the stance, it's defensive in nature because he leans back and this moves his hitbox. The reason you know this is because you can see that he gets almost half of what they're looking at as a character length when he just goes into stance from standing next to you. So that explains why when you do certain moves, like back 4 in the Hitman, because he leans back, even on block, it gives you so much space after the move is over because he does physically lean back. Now, he gets an improved sidestep in Hitman. So 2, 3, 6. All right, so 6.5 in Hitman. 1. Yep. Yeah, he travels much quicker around, and in Hitman it's very interesting because when you sidestep, if they don't move, Lee actually closes the distance while he's circling them, which is it's very interesting how that can subtly change the space of where you're at during a match. Now, he can also go into Hitman from full crouch, and when you go into Hitman from full crouch, he actually closes distance as well. So, just a little bit of distance, not a whole lot, but he slides forward when going into full crouch. So those are the main things I want to go over right now, and I'll go over other transitions later on in the video. Now in Hitman, unlike other stances, Lee is not in immediate danger when he goes into Hitman, so he is not pressed to do something out of Hitman right away because he can block normally by holding back. He can standing block, he can crouching block, and he can also low parry. So you really don't have anything to worry about if your opponent does something and you're just, you can wait to see what happens. So, see, I mean, there's nothing you actually have to worry about while you're in Hitman. The only thing that people forget about is that since you can block and you have to hold back, because the stance used to neutral block, which was much better because then you could really focus on what you wanted to do, but now you have to hold back. So there's not it doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is a big difference when you're thinking about other things, and now that it doesn't block for you, you kind of have to remember that. Next, it is considered crouching, and just like you saw with the low parry, all you do is tap down forward to low parry. It's also considered standing, and for certain moves in particular, you're considered to be in full crouch while in Hitman, which can make executing those moves much quicker. And I'm going to talk about that later as well. So now we've got kind of basically what Hitman looks like, some of the movement, some of the how you get into Hitman basics out of the way. Let's talk about the moves that you get from Hitman. So we're going to start off with Hitman 1. Hitman 1 is the Freaker Jab. The Freaker Jab has a couple of options, and it chains into itself, so you can get at least 2 in open field. You can get 4 if they're against the wall. So if you hit somebody against the wall, that's 40 damage. It's very nice. You get Hitman 1-4, which that kick is safe on block and it's pretty killer as far as advantage, and it also stuns on counter hit. So that is very cool. Let's see. Oh. There we go. So see, so if they don't slide against the wall, you can get all 4. You also get a fake into the scatter kick, so you get Hitman 1-3. And the thing about this is that the 3 actually happens at the tip of Hitman 1, so he's much closer to the opponent. So certain times when he would whiff, like right there, he doesn't whiff if you do the fake into the scatter kick. So it really, it's basically like a carry throw, because he kicks from the distance of the jab. So really good to remember that, because it makes it to where you're not necessarily out of range at 2 character links. So you also get a transition into misstep after the first 3 freaker jabs. So you can do 1-1 forward, and that'll move you after the first one. 1-1-1 forward will move you after the second one. Sorry. Whoop. And then of course, if you do all 4 and then press forward, you'll fake the last punch into the misstep. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. Now, the jabs are safe on block, so you don't have to worry about anything there. They're safe on block. Oh. Yep. Oop. As you see, the transition's very safe too. So if you make contact, you can safely misstep back in to start working a little bit of pressure, because -1's really nothing to worry about, especially when you got stuff like Magic 4 and everything going on. So takes care of Hitman 1 for us. Hitman 2, the scatter blow. It's the uppercut that makes everyone upset. It's -13 on block, so you don't get a ridiculous punish if they block it, but it gives you, gives you a normal combo, so you don't have to, you get your normal stuff. So get a very high wall splat on the wall, so so that's very cool, and it comes out reasonably fast too. At 19 frames, that's pretty fast for a launcher. So people have to be very careful moving around in Hitman, because this will catch them. Alright, not much else to say about that except for it's a great whiff punisher. So it's really good when you may transition into something and then they attack, or you sidestep it and then you just pop them, get them on up out of there, because you see that he backhands them into next week, and I love it. Alright, so next we're going to talk about Scatter Blow, which is his homing move in Hitman. The scatter kick, or it's also called the scan kick. As you can see on normal hit, it's an attack throw, 41 damage, which is great. On airborne hit, it's a screw attack. Let's see, we're going to do this. Not sure how I'm going to show it. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to show it on this stage, but it will screw. It is homing. It is safe on block at -3, so it is super safe on block, and it is also a power crush. So Lee has lots of answers in Hitman if people become aggressive. Even though you'll find that Hitman makes a lot of people not be aggressive unless you show them they're not going to not gonna do anything. And so you can really play into Hitman a lot of different ways, because you can use it to vary your offense, or you can just go in there and sit and see what someone's going to do, because if they know that power crushes are weak to lows, they may come in with a low for you to low parry them, or for you to hit them with one of his airborne moves, because he has a couple out of Hitman. So that's why it's a very, very complete stance, and you really want to take your time and get used to it so you can enjoy it. All right, so also, as I said earlier, you can perform the scatter kick after the first freaker jab. So it's the freaker jab fake into the scatter kick, and it covers a lot of distance. So even though this would normally whiff right here, if you did the scatter kick by itself, it whiffs. But see, with Hitman 1-3, covers a lot of distance. So you're back at like almost range 3. You can still catch them sleeping. So keep that in mind. Hitman 4, that's his sweep. They've slowed it down a lot since Tekken 6, but on normal hit, it gives you a knockdown, and you can juggle off of it, but you don't get too much time. And it's a really, really interesting juggle from back 3-3. I don't really get it very often. I usually just slide afterwards. But on counter hit, you get a normal juggle. So counter hit, you get your normal stuff. You can do from the front. As you can see from the side, it doesn't understand from the side, so it gives you a regular hit. So that sucks. Oh. I don't know why it was taking so long to get there. So let me just do while staying 2-3. Yeah, so you get your regular juggle on counter hit. So it's slow, even though it's not. There are things that are slower, but it's still slow at 24 frames. You can not telegraph it as much by going into full crouch, because when you go into full Hitman from full crouch, you're able to do the moves immediately without actually completing the stance transition. So so you can not telegraph it, but it's still slow. So it does high crush from a very, very early part of the move. So if you know someone's going to jab, you can just throw it out. It will go under it. It will snake edge them out. And sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to snake edge them out. Sometimes you just got to roll. So still has its uses. As you can see, on block, you get murdered at -26. But hey, that's what happens with big sweeps. And he's got a few other lows that he can do out of Hitman that are safer. So you don't have to rely on this. This is something where you can make a big read. You know that they're going to be doing a high, or they're going to be doing a move they have no business doing. So you can take advantage of the counter hit. Alright, so to complement the low attacks that you can annoy people with out of Hitman, which I'm going to talk about some more in just a moment, he has his he has one wall bounce, because Lee has 2 wall bounces now. So Hitman up forward 3 was his original wall bounce move. It is safe on block at -9. It is mid and is a jumping attack, so it does go over lows, no problem. So you definitely have to be careful with that. All right, and next we have Hitman up forward 4. This also goes over lows just fine, and it is safe on block also. At -8, and on counter hit, you get a juggle. So it's really good. It hits grounded, so if someone stays on the ground too long, you can do that and then force them to either stand up and block it. You're going to be safe. If they stay on the ground and take the damage, they take the damage. So very fun move that they added to his arsenal in Tekken 6. Gave him a way to be able to hop over lows. while in Hitman and keep everybody guessing. So very cool. You do get a guaranteed hit if they get hit with it. You got a couple things that you can do on normal hits, just get some extra damage out of it. So that covers almost all of Lee's Hitman moves. He also has the poison tip. This attack is mid and it pushes back super far, and it's also safe on block. So as you can see, Lee he's not taking too many risks by doing moves out of Hitman because he has a lot of safe options to get him out of the stance, even before you start going into more advanced stuff. But that move is it's actually pretty cool. I'm using it now in after the jump kick, after the stinger. It gives me the same damage. It gives me the same damage as doing 4-4-3, which is the most damaging option. So it's my autopilot for that. There we go. So that's what I'm using now for that particular purpose because it's easy. There's no timing to it. You just, flying kick into Hitman, both punches, comes out. Very reliable. Love it. But as you saw, it's safe. It's mid. If they duck, it makes it to where you can keep your pressure going. +6. It's very nice on normal hit. Alright, so now I want to talk about some other moves that you can do out of Hitman as well, because he has a lot of freedom because his transition out of Hitman is pretty small, and they've added it to where certain commands will override moves that he would normally do in Hitman. So I want to go over those right now. So very common ones that you can do would be back 1-1. You can do that directly out of Hitman. Almost anything where you tap back, he can do it out of Hitman now without worrying about accidentally pressing a move. So he's gotten a lot of freedom in what he can do and how he can actually get out of it. Down back 3 doesn't come out unless you tap back because he's still considered crouching at the same time. So if you do down back 3, it gives you the while crouching down back 3. Down forward 4, full crouch down forward 4. Yeah, he just has to hold, since he counts as full crouch in Hitman, all you do is you just tap down forward +4 and you get the silver tail. So this is what I'm getting to. So since he counts as full crouch in Hitman, you actually slide out of Hitman by just going down forward, down forward into kick. And so it saves you a little bit of step, but it's actually something that you have to get used to. And right now what I've done is I've been hitting down forward twice. But you can get it to be quite crispy as long as you hit down forward as your first move, as your first attack, first button. You can get it to be quite crispy out of Hitman. So with him counting as crouching, it really helps out with some of the stuff because Silvertail becomes a really good option, really fast low to annoy people, and then you can go right back into Hitman and wait for their response. Also on block, you'll notice that Silvertail into Hitman is only -12. It's very hard to punish, almost impossible for a lot of people to punish at max range, because at max range he goes into Hitman and whatever they were going to do that was fast enough to hit him, it whiffs. And there are really not any low moves outside of, I don't think there's actually any low moves, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that will catch him after they block low. If there are some 11 frame low moves, let me know, or 12 frame low moves, but I don't think there are any that you honestly have to worry about. So that's a really big benefit to Hitman that he gets. As you can see, back 3-3, all those moves come out. Back 2. Okay, so he's got a lot of options as far as what he can do in Hitman. He can also misstep directly out of Hitman, so that gives him access to the falling slide as well, and the shredder kicks. And so Hitman, you can be very, very creative in Hitman. You just have to kind of have a game plan, and you want to practice your transitions so they're muscle memory more so than having to think about them. So that's why I'm working on the slide right now, so that way it can become muscle memory, because that's going to be very, very useful when you get people to freeze, especially if you're doing mids all day, and then and then you just ooh, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous. So we've talked about the stance. We've talked about stance moves. We've talked about alternative moves that you can do out of the stance. And so let's finish things off with, man, look how far back look how much distance he's covering for that. All right, so anyways, let's finish things off with stance transitions. So some common transitions that you're going to have into the stance are going to be down 3. Down 3 is still launch punishable on block if you go into stance, but it's -15 instead of -17. And depending on what move they do, you might have a chance to power crush it, maybe, if they're late on the punish. So that's something that you can definitely be on the lookout for. Also on hit, it becomes a nightmare, because most lows, of course, on hit, you don't have any advantage. So people start their turn. At -1, he's able to power crush a lot of stuff. He's able to step and Hitman 2 a lot of stuff. So once you don't do Hitman for a long time, don't do anything out of down 3, and you just reset your offense and you just keep going, and then later in the match you go into Hitman, it provides that wrinkle that makes it to where now when you do down 3, unless it's a really long set, people have to figure out, is he going to go into stance or is he not going to go into stance? And that's one of Lee's biggest strengths. One of his biggest strengths is he's a very, very simple character, but the transitions that he has, the transitions that he's got into Hitman, make it to where when you introduce it later in a match, people have to respect it and figure out, is he going to go into Hitman? Do I have the freedom to counterattack? Is he going to sidestep Hitman to me? All of this stuff. So, because once they get hit with that one time, that sequence now becomes a lot safer, because they have to wait to see if you're going into stance. So, when they used to duck after blocking back 1-1 because that's high, if they duck and you go into stance and you pop them in their mouth, now they're like, oh, okay, I got to see what's going to happen now. So that's going to be one of the beautiful things that happen with Hitman. So let's go into transitions. Common ones that are safe are going to be back 1-1. As you can see, that's very safe. Of course, like I said, Silvertail in the Hitman is extremely hard to punish. So a lot of people who think they're going to get launchers and things that are 13 frame punishers, they are sorely mistaken, and a lot of those will whiff along with Lee being able to block. So Silvertail gets really annoying, and it causes people to have to start trying to low parry it, which is what you want, because you want people down here, because once they get down in the basement, then you can hit them with Lee's mids, which is what you wanted all along. You wanted to hit them with the mids all along. You just needed to coax them with annoying lows to get it done. So Silvertail in the Hitman, as you can see, very, very safe. Full crouch in the Hitman, of course, is very fast. This is the fastest way to get any Hitman moves off in the game, is full crouch in the Hitman. And then you've got both while standing 4 and down forward 4 in the Hitman. Very safe, and as you see, they create a lot of distance. back 4 in the Hitman creates a lot of distance, and it is almost even on block. So this tricks people a lot, where they will retaliate because they think that Lee's at a huge disadvantage while going into the stance, and when they retaliate, you're able to sidestep, duck, or evade whatever the retaliation is, and you get the launch punish with Hitman 2 if you sidestep, or whatever you want to do if you duck it, because you're still going to kill them when they whiff. So back 2 is awesome. Now you don't have to use back 2 in the Hitman anymore, because back 2 now gives you +2 on block, even though now it was, you know, +5 is still great, but he doesn't have a whole bunch of things he can do from this distance in Hitman, so it's kind of a stalemate. But you can use it to separate yourself, get some distance, you know, and then kind of leave and reassess the situation. Great if you have a life lead, but, you know, usually you want to pursue a +2 on block. The Stinger in the Hitman, +8 on block, very heavy, and then you can hold down if you want to throw to get out of Hitman, and then you can grab immediately. So that's something that you can do as far as in that stance. And then what it does is it opens it up to where when you don't go into the stance, you're still at +5. But if they're used to seeing you go into Hitman after this kick and then you don't go into Hitman, it gives you, again, another angle of attack where they have to figure out, okay, what's going to happen now? Because I know I'm at disadvantage, but he didn't go in. They didn't go into Hitman. So what am I going to do now? So, and that's where Lee gets to play some fun mind games. His screw kicks can go into Hitman after those. Probably won't see it happen that often. He doesn't get, he actually is at a huge disadvantage off of the new screw being mid. You know, -11 is not bad. So for something that can give you a juggle, wouldn't recommend going to Hitman off of it, even though you used to be able to and they were both safe. But now it's not that safe. Also, if you need to create distance, this gives you enough distance to where the -16 is really not that crazy. You know, they kind of have to know that that's coming, but I've used that to create distance as well when I didn't want to use back 4 or when I was in full crouch. So, and then he also has his backflip if you really need to get away. His backflip into Hitman, it completely separates you, and as you know, backflips are really, really evasive, so a lot of moves whiff when you backflip. And so just wanted to give an overview. I'm really sorry it ran so long. I didn't know, well, I covered a lot of info with that one. But Hitman is a really, really versatile tool, and it's a very, very, very fun tool. And so it's a good reason to play Lee. And you know, if you're learning the man, if you're learning the Silver Demon, definitely just go in and lab some things and lab some sequences you would like to do with Hitman, and just get used to how it looks when people react to you going into Hitman. Because a lot of what Hitman is going to provide you with is it's going to provide you with opportunities to whiff punish, and it's going to provide you opportunities to freeze people when they would normally react to an attack. Once you go into Hitman, they have to think about something different. So, you know, just go in, make sure you get familiar with those so you can see what distance you're going to be at, so that way you can act accordingly when they try to catch you, and unfortunately they don't really catch you. So I really appreciate you hanging in there through this video. I know this one's a little long, but if you like it, be sure to throw me a like. Any suggestions or any help, throw it down in the comment section so we can have a discussion about it below. And I want to thank you so much again for coming by, and until next time, this is Lee Van Dam. You guys take care, God bless, and I will see you later.